So we have a toilet that just won't stop running, which tells me I've got a flush valve problem. In this video, we're going to replace that flush valve and I'll walk you through the process. Let's get to it. Alright, so let's get our parts together. We need our flush valve, which has its nut on the bottom of it. Alright, try this again. We have our flush valve that has the nut on the bottom. Mine has a built-in flapper. Yours might look something like this, and the steps are still the same. Our tank to bowl gasket is definitely going to be needed. You're also going to need your parts. We have our bolts that will connect the tank to the bowl. We have the rubber grommets that go inside of those holes. And we have our hex nuts. Make sure you get new ones of these. Now you're going to need a flathead screwdriver to get this job done. My kit came with its own plastic wrench and a nut driver that's fit to the size of the hex nuts. Really nice if your kit comes with this too. First step, turn the water off. Mine's already off, but turn yours off. Go ahead and flush the tank. What I mean here is hold the handle down until the tank completely flushes all of the water out. Go ahead and take the lid off of the tank and then grab a towel or a sponge and sop up or soak up any of the water that might be down in the bottom of the tank. You'll want to also disconnect the fill valve that is on top of the flush valve and disconnect your flapper. Now, mine has a little bit of a pin chain connection in here. Yours might just have a chain with a hook on the end. Just go ahead and disconnect it. Now you want to disconnect the water line from the bottom of the tank. You might need a wrench to loosen it, but then just take your hand and loosen. Alright, you know how to do this. I'm not going to explain that. Get the thing disconnected from the tank. Now take your nut driver or your wrench, go ahead and connect it to the bottom of the tank bolt and get a firm grip with your tool. You'll want to take your flathead screwdriver, put it on the top of the bolt inside the tank, and then start loosening the bolts. This is why I like a long screwdriver, because it makes it much easier to get this job done. I don't have to put my arm way down inside the tank in order to get the bolts off. But once you get the bolts off, go ahead and straddle the toilet, grab the tank firmly on the bottom on both sides, and take it off of the toilet. Just make sure that you get the bolts firmly out of the holes before you pull the tank off, and then take it and put it somewhere on the floor where you can securely work on it. Make sure that you remove this tank to bowl gasket. Do not reuse this. It needs to be replaced. All right, once we have our tank down on the floor, go ahead and remove your bolts. I just like to hammer them right through until they come out, and then you can remove the rubber grommets along with it. Grab your wrench if you have one, or if it came in your kit with this plastic wrench, just use it to go ahead and loosen the nut on the bottom of the old flush valve. Go ahead and loosen that, take it completely off, and then take the flush valve out. Just turn the tank over, reach down inside, and it should come out pretty easily. You might have to wiggle it just a little bit to pull it out, but pull her out. Make sure that you don't have any rubber gaskets down at the bottom of the tank that are left, that you get everything out with that actual flush valve, and then you're in good shape to move on. Now you want to go ahead and take the new flush valve and push that rubber grommet here right up against the bottom of the base if you have this type. It just gives you a little bit more of a firm seal at the bottom. When you put it in, put the top of the flush valve in the same spot as the last one so that that fill valve will go down inside properly. Go ahead and flip the tank back over. I like to push the new flush valve up in and then hand tighten the nut just to make sure it's in place. And then you can grab your wrench, or in this case, I have the tool that came with my kit, and go ahead and tighten it. Be careful. Do not over tighten this plastic nut. If you do, it will crack and you're going to have to get another flush valve. Once you have that in place, go ahead and grab your tank to bowl gasket. You'll notice it has a little bit of a form inside of it that fits that nut on the bottom of your flush valve. Go ahead and fit it firmly and make sure you get it really tight and close up against that nut. You do not want this to be loose when you put it back on the toilet. Flip your tank back over, and now you can start to put things back together. Reconnect your fill valve to the top of the flush valve. Go ahead and connect your flapper chain to the actual flushing arm. You know, again, mine is a little bit different. It has a pin with a little bit of a, yeah, I can't remember the name. you can see what's on the screen. Connect the thing to the flushing arm, and then you want to test it. So just move the flush arm up and down, make sure that your flapper is moving up and down the way it needs to. Grab your rubber grommets, put them in the holes in the bottom of the tank. Now you have two, so just make sure you put them both in place. Just reach right down inside of there. Now you just want to grab your new tank bolts. Please do not use the old ones. Push them all the way through that rubber grommet on both sides so that they're sticking all the way out the bottom of the toilet. When you're done, you will see your tank to bowl gasket, both bolts. This is what you should see on the bottom of your tank. You have ribs on your toilet. That's what you want to flushly tighten the tank down to. You don't want to tighten it too hard. Just go ahead and place the tank right back on top. Just make sure you get the bolts in. I don't know, I don't like to scratch my toilets. Get it on so that it just sits there in a stable state. It's loose, just be careful. Grab your hex nuts, go ahead and put them on the bottom of your new tank bolts. Just hand tighten those, do one side, and then obviously you have to do the other as well. And then go ahead and grab your nut driver and your screwdriver and just tighten them up. Now you're gonna wanna tighten it with the nut driver underneath and just hold that screwdriver in place inside the bowl to make sure it's tight. Double check that it is firm and does not move, and then look underneath the tank to make sure it's on the ribs. Go ahead and reconnect your water line. Make sure you get that nice and firm. If you have a plastic connection here, do not over tighten this. We had a plumber do this once and our toilet leaked all over our bathroom after he was done. Go ahead and turn the water back on and you should hear the magic whoosh of water going into the tank. Now double check that it is filling up the way that it needs to, going right up over top of that flush valve. Looks like we're in good shape here. And then do a test. Make sure that that bowl or that tank empties appropriately, and then check to make sure your fill is set. And don't forget the last step, put the tank back on the lid. And don't forget the last step, put the lid back on the tank. I'd like to see you try that actually. Put the lid, put the tank, did I get that right? Put the lid back on the tank, yes. Now double check to make sure that you don't have any water leaks underneath the tank, specifically the water line and right where it connects to the bottom, to the bowl of the actual toilet. Don't want any water leaks in your bathroom. I hope you found this video helpful and you were able to resolve your issue with your leaking toilet. If you did find it helpful, please mash that like button, and as always, we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Until the next time, keep doing it yourself.